right, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast with my man Lee Judges in the building. No tan, even though he's just back from Spain. He went to watch the game, of course, Sevilla versus Arsenal. We're going to talk to him about that in a bit. And also I've got a couple of very special guests in the studio with me today. I've got Kat and Marcia, and we're going to be talking to them later on about a brand new app that they've got out, which is called Number One Fan Club, which helps, really the parents of footballers that are at academies. So a really interesting chat. And Marcia, your son, he's at Arsenal, isn't he? And I saw that he signed a brand new contract the other, signed his first senior contract. Tell us who your son is.
It's Myles Lewis-Skelly.
Myles Lewis-Skelly, yeah. One of the hottest prospects at Arsenal. That's what they say. Right. No, it's not what he says. It's what the general talk around is that he's one of the hottest prospects in the academy at the moment. So you must be really proud of him.
Very proud, Bobby. Yeah.
All right.
A long journey.
Long journey. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But first of all, we'll start off with you, Lee. Right? You guys went over to Spain without me. Right? I couldn't make it.
Your choice.
I couldn't make it, man.
Was gutted.
You see me even yesterday. I was having to give a talk at Wembley.
We did see that, like.
Yeah. Big up to the students that I spoke to.
All right?
Yeah. Big up to the students I spoke to at UFCB at Wembley Stadium. It was brilliant yesterday. So I couldn't make it, but by what I saw, looks like I have to be there for all of these now because you guys can't organise a piss up in a brewery, mate.
Yes, yeah.
What was going on?
Have you seen the vlog? If you haven't seen the vlog, watch it. You know what I mean? Because it's a calamity after calamity, like.
You missed the flight?
No, on the way back we missed the flight.
Right, missed the flight on the way back.
Yeah.
On the way there, right, at about 5 to 11 and 5 to 12 at night, I'm getting messages from you guys, we can't find a place where we're supposed to be staying.
Yep.
Right? And on the way back, Cecil loses his case, which, by the way, he still hasn't got it back yet.
I'm not laughing.
And this guy, how many times have I said to him, when you travel light? He'll turn up with some big old case with 5 changes of clothes in it and stuff like that for one day.
Oh, well,
2 days.
He's got the record of the biggest case in the airport, like, you know what I mean? And he got
he ain't no more.
But no, it was. I'll tell you what. Listen, how it starts off. Got to say, it starts off fantastic. Recommend it. Southend Airport. Have you ever been there?
No.
Have you ever been to Southend Airport? It
Never
is
flown from
unreal. It's unreal. You just walk in. You walk
Southend.
Southend. It's amazing. Small. In and out, no problems. I was saying, like, fantastic. Well, I have to say, Julian organised that bit.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. We then get to the airport and we've got to hire the car. Cecil's now in charge, and this is where it all goes wrong from then on. He's put it in my name, but a different card, my name, but Julian as the driver, like, you know what I mean? So we've had to pay extra to get the car out, like, because it's on my card and all that. So we're there, and that's an hour, right? Then, fine, we do all the stuff, goes to Seville, does it all right. Now we've got this apartment. We're hearing it all the way. You wait till you see this apartment. It's this, it's that. So
yeah, he said it was, he kept going on about the apartment,
just kept going
nice
on about
it is.
And he wouldn't even tell us what it was, what it looked like, and everything. Oh, it's great. We get into Malaga, we got in at Malaga at 10 o'clock. At 12:15, we still hadn't found the place. We're running around this place. We're trying to get into apartments that are not it. You know what I mean? Like, it was. We've got all the cases. You know, we're walking around. There's a square with all the bars and restaurants. We're walking around with our cases all the time. You know what I mean? We're like the magic roundabout. It was going around there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unbelievable. So in the end, we sat there. 2.5 hours later, right? We finally find it, which is nowhere near where we was. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, and when we get there, the apartment is fantastic. Like, I have to say that. Check out the vlog because it's fantastic. But yeah, and then of course we get the result. It was a fantastic day. But you know, it rains.
Yeah, I was watching it. I have to say, I was laughing. Right?
Shorts and flip flops all day.
Because I'm watching it on TV, right? And I'm saying to myself, every time I see a game in Seville, right, it's like about 35 degrees. temperature, hot, shorts, everything. I see the rain.
Unbelievable.
I said to the guys, is it raining? It looks like it's pouring down there.
It was unreal, like, you know what I mean? Like, because of all the content we was doing, we didn't get, you know, like, I see the beach.
Didn't check the weather, did you?
I didn't check the weather.
The weather app. You got apps you can check now.
Yeah, it was a schoolboy error because like, I thought we'd get on the beach, top up the old tan and all that. Like, it was lovely in the day. I didn't look at it, I was just thinking, like, you know, it's going to be lovely and everything. It gets there, yeah, lovely little seat right at the front, you know, away from the, and then whistle goes, and that was the sign for it to come down. And it did not stop all night. All night.
Jeez.
You know.
And then on the way back now, you missed the flight. How does that go?
Well, yeah. Look, listen, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was Cecil's fault. No, it weren't. We got there on time because we had got back from Seville because we were staying in Malaga at 5 o'clock in the morning after we'd finished work and all that. You know what I mean? Work after we'd finished. 5 o'clock in the morning we got there. Right. We had to be up at 7. Right, so we had 2 hours sleep. You know, so if we'd have missed that, you'd understand. But no, we're up, we're there. You know what I mean? We're there. So we thought we'd get something to eat, and we was 10 minutes late to the check-in.
Remember all these times, you know when we go on these trips sometimes, right? Like when we're going, so what will happen sometimes, right? We'll go to Man United away or Man City away or Burnley or something, right? And these guys will be like, oh, come on, just stop in the service station. I'll be like, yo, let's get there first. Let's get ahead of the game. And they're coming at all these nicknames for me, you know what I mean, about how I don't stop and all that. You see that now? They missed the flight because they're eating food.
Yeah. Schoolboy error, I have to say that.
Yeah, another one. Yeah. This is about, how many schoolboy errors have they just told
you
told them about 3 of them, right? Okay. You know, and then now how did the cases get lost?
Well, what happens then, right, is which another schoolboy error from me, right? I've got to say this is that I've got a hold on, you know, like one of the walk-on ones, right? And because in Joe's defence, he has to have a bigger case because of the camera stuff and all that, like. So they said, oh, do you want to put it in with theirs because like you're all 3 of you and all that, like. Now, if I'd have said no and took it on, I could have got on that flight and left them there, but I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done it, but. So anyway, they've all gone down. So anyway, they've said no. They've took our cases off. They're in belt 32. Go down there and get them, like, you know. So it goes down to belt 32. They ain't there. All right. So we're waiting around. So we're trying to get on another flight now. We're ringing people to get us on another flight because the next flight out for there's about 3 o'clock. So we're trying to got another flight already and all that. We ain't got our cases, so we can't go. So eventually, me and Joe's come round and we get ours. Cecil's is not there.
And he still ain't got it?
He still ain't got it. Still, I don't know where it is.
And schoolboy error number 5.
Schoolboy error number, this is where, yeah.
Schoolboy error number 5, my man's got his laptop in there and all that. Now you always take those things with you on your person.
Robbie, he's there for a day. He's got a case, it's as big as that. We're going out one night, right? We're going out one night. Bearing in mind now, it's time we got out. It was about 12:30 at night, right? He's got 8 changes of clothes for one night, like, you know what I mean? He puts a shirt on. I've never seen nothing like it. He puts a shirt on, opens it out his old chest, you know what I mean? Like, and then he puts another one on, like, and I think, right, well, he's ready to go out. When we're waiting at the door, he's got another complete different outfit on, like, you know what I mean?
Well, somebody else is wearing that outfit.
Well, yes. I'm not laughing at that, Robbie. I'm not laughing at that, like, you know?
I know I shouldn't laugh, right? But listen, my mum always used to say, man, feel, right? I always telling this guy, right? Why are you travelling with so much stuff? Remember, he was in America.
Yeah.
I thought the man was moving out. You know what I mean?
I don't know how he had.
I thought he was going to get there and find a barrel there coming for him there as well. You know what I mean? It was a joke. But anyway, it was a good performance by Arsenal.
Well, that was it. Listen, it would have been. I'm going to look back on it and say, even for all those disasters, it was fantastic because Arsenal got the result.
Yeah, it was a great performance.
Brilliant performance. I cannot remember the last time we played that well in Europe. I can't remember it. Like, you know, like all the Europa League games last season weren't very, very good. But I think from start to finish, from the way we play, do you know what? I'm a little bit negative, and I like, you know what I mean. And Julian is over positive. And as the teams walked out and this stadium erupted, we looked at each other and said, "We ain't winning here, are we?"
Because the atmosphere is always incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like, and
it's a hard place to go and win.
Yeah, and then after 5 minutes, we both turned around to each other and said, "We're looking good." And I thought they was most of them were magnificent.
Yeah,
most of them were magnificent.
Ladies, you watched the game as well. What did you make of it? I mean, it was a fantastic performance by Arsenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really. I mean, Kat's the massive goodness. I know you were like intense on that game.
It was good, wasn't it?
It was great. It's just such exciting football, isn't it? It's like a joy to watch them. Yeah. You know, just that real attacking forward, Martinelli getting up. You know, even though he's, you know, it's just that mindset. It just feels different, doesn't it? They're just going forward and going for it. I love it.
What I liked about Martinelli is that he had a sort of chance earlier on in the game, right, which he sort of hit at the keeper, which maybe I was saying at the time, why didn't he try and take it round him? When he got the second one, he weren't making that same mistake twice, was he?
It was beautiful. And just those, you know, they're so exciting when they do that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a fluidity to the team, which a lot of people have been saying we haven't really had that fluidity really this season, even though we haven't been losing games. Yeah. But there was in that game. I mean, Jesus, he was on fire. I mean, it's you know how many times I've watched that turn he does where he just sends two players to the shops.
We knew it was good. We knew it was good watching it, but we didn't know. I didn't know how good it was until I watched it last night. Like, you know, but he was sensational on the day.
Yeah,
like, he put Martinelli through for that first chance.
Yep.
And then he done that in the second one. And you know, Martinelli. Do you know when it's a funny thing with Arsenal? I've got so many favourites, but Martinelli's I've always had that thing for Martinelli, and it's just when
I thought Ray was your favourite.
He's getting there. He's getting there. Like, you know, but like once you just think, oh, do you know what? Declan Rice is starting to become my favourite.
He was brilliant as well.
Or Ben White's starting to become, and then Martinelli does something, and I go, nah, he's my guy. You know what I mean? I thought he was sensational as well. Like, you know what I mean? Him and Jesus and Declan Rice. Well, you know what I mean? Like,
it's been unbelievable.
You know, with what the girls do and everything like that, I think like Declan Rice is a perfect role model to that. You know what I mean? We'll talk about that later, because, you know, he was obviously rejected at Chelsea. He is I don't think I've seen I'm going to say it now. I don't think I've seen a better midfield player at Arsenal since Patrick Vieira.
I was sort of thinking that the other day. So far, the way he started, obviously it's still very early, he reminds me a lot of Vieira.
Yeah, the way Vieira came into the team. And
I was chatting to a friend of mine today, and I was saying that, you know, we were saying that every team needs that workman, right? But what he is, he's that and beyond.
And more.
So remember we used to say about Vieira, he's like, he's the workman, but it's way beyond that. You can't call him a workman because he does everything so good, right? He can drive with the ball, which is what Declan Rice
was doing that.
His passing's good, his tackling's brilliant, his awareness is brilliant. Like
energy levels,
just complete football. It really is giving me that sort of Vieira
same sort of things, because like, when Vieira first come into the team, you know, the first game he played, wow, that was it. You know what I mean? Like, and he's still probably my favourite Invincible and whatever. Like, you know, he was unbelievable. But I do see the similarities. You know, with that. I have to say it was. I thought he was man of the match. I know everybody said Jesus and all that, but in that last 20 minutes, I honestly think if he wasn't there, a little bit like Vieira at times, if he wasn't there in that last 20 minutes of the game, Arsenal wouldn't have lost that game, but they definitely wouldn't have won.
Because they're putting it on us, weren't they?
Putting it on us.
Long balls.
And I said that so many times about Vieira. If he wasn't there today, we wouldn't have won that game, or we wouldn't have lost it. You know, fantastic performance, but all of them were brilliant. All of them.
Good European performance, probably the best of the English teams in the Champions League this week. I mean, it was really, really a fantastic performance, and we go back to the top of the group. It was a significant win as well, because the other two teams drew.
Good night, perfect night.
Yeah. Arsenal really in control now, and if they win their next two games here, which they're both home games, they're through, innit? I mean, it was a massive, massive win for Arsenal at a really difficult place to go to.
And make no mistake, the pressure was on that game. I tell you that now, because if we'd have lost that game, we was in trouble.
Yeah.
And you felt that because I actually said, I'll take a draw before the game.
We were all saying that as well.
I'll take a draw.
Yeah.
As long as we got something out of it. Like, it was a must not lose game. But for them to come out and play like that, particularly after the poor performance against Chelsea, to come out and play like that and do what they done, I think was a big plus for ticks a lot of boxes for me, like going forward. And you know, the substitutions that are coming, the subs that we're bringing on now are as quality players coming on as coming off. The squad that definitely looks stronger, and so all in all, I thought a fantastic,
brilliant performance. Marcel, your son, he was playing on the day as well, because what they do
played
is
in the sunshine.
He played before the rain came.
Yeah.
But they've been doing this thing where the youth team will play against Sevilla as well. So it'd be like Arsenal played against Sevilla as well. What was the outcome in that?
Yeah, they lost, unfortunately, 2-1. But yeah, it's the under-19s. Really great experience for them though, because this is the this is the opportunity for them to play against some really, really good teams. So they've not done too well so far, but it's been a good experience. And he's been out injured. That was his first game back. And he got 77 minutes, I think. And but enjoyed the experience. He said it's mad. And then they go and see the first team in the evening, and he said it was mental, Mum. It was mental.
Oh, brilliant!
I think when they scored, he got in the chair and went like that. He did the Jude Bellingham.
Tell us about your son, for people who are watching this or listening to this podcast and don't know. Tell us about what position he plays, and tell us about the journey, because he just the other day signed his first professional contract for Arsenal, which is a journey. I know it, but it's a journey to get to that. So tell us a little bit about him, and then tell us a little bit about the journey.
Yeah. So it's Myles Lewis-Skelly. So, he's been at Arsenal from under 9s. He's midfield. And
right or left foot?
Left foot. Needs to work on the right foot a bit more.
There he is. She's a punch.
I know nothing about football, by the way. It's all that I've learned. But you know what, Robbie? Oh my goodness, it's been an incredible journey supporting him, actually, and watching him develop and grow. But it's long, and it's been challenging at times. He's had injuries. There's a lot of commitment on both parts as a parent, and we'll talk more about our app. But I see the dedication and the commitment and the drive and the hunger and the love, and genuinely loves football. That's it, first and foremost.
And it's a lot of pressure, isn't it? Even at because what age is he now? 16?
He's 17.
17 now? It's a lot of pressure, isn't it? Because, the players, especially at Arsenal, right? There's an example of players, young players, and obviously it's a Saka right now, right? That's come through, made it into the first team, and everybody now just looks at other young players and thinking, is he the next Saka? Is he the next? You know what I mean? So there's that pressure to make it all the way through for a lot of these young players now as well, isn't there?
There's a lot of the industry there's a lot of pressure in the industry. I think when I think about Myles, and I've watched him grow, and Kat knows him really well. He's very measured. He's very he spends a lot of time on his mind and getting his mind sort of settled and calm. So I don't see the pressure impact him, because he's learning to be able to sort of not stabilize the emotions, but cope with it. And I think he just he focuses on what's happening today rather than what's going to happen in a year's time. Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? He's just focusing on, and it's good. It's enjoyable to watch him. It's enjoyable to observe, and he does a lot of things beyond football to help with the journey, his mindset. He's very grateful for the opportunities, very focused. So it is pressure, but it doesn't seem to allow that to impact his
When did you first realise that he had the talent for football?
In all honesty, and I kid you not, it was I never really saw it until probably 11 or 12. Although he was at Arsenal from a young age, I just saw it as a you know, a posh youth club. It was like, you know, it's a bit of a seriously, like you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay.
Get all the kit free.
Get the kit
No
free. No, just, you know, and he's enjoying it. But I do remember, like, me and his dad used to talk, because he used to play and he'd say sorry a lot of the time. Like, he'd give the ball away and he'd say, oh sorry. So he was always very kind of polite on the field. So I was like, oh, that's not, you know, he's just tame. He doesn't have that
the aggression,
assertion and aggression. But obviously over time that came. But because we don't know anything about football, of course we do now because we've been following his journey, but we don't come from football backgrounds at all. So it wasn't something that we were looking for, or it was just, he's got a schedule, he's busy, he's active, and he's at a place called Arsenal.
You say you didn't have a football background, so what was it like? Did he say, I want to go and play football, or you just sort of put him into a youth team? Or
not at all. What happened was, literally, I think it was probably 2. He was always really active and on his feet very early. And I think a friend of mine, she'd bought him a soft football that you can kick around in the house. And that ball was at his feet all the time. So we, you know, normal parent stuff, take him out into the garden, take him to the park, football. You know, I've got sisters, so I didn't know anything about what to keep, you know, a child active, except the football. That's what you get told, right? So he'd go in the park and play around, and then again joined a little Sunday league, Hilly Fields, joined that. It's something to do, burn energy. He was like full of beans. You need to do something, right? And it just stayed in football. And then we moved to North London and joined a Sunday league team, and that's when Kat and I met. Our boys were sort of.
And what was the name of that team?
That was TFA, right? Yeah, well, TFA.
She makes me laugh because I remember they were about 5 years old and we went up to West Ham, and you could see this kid, like, he was just up and down. There was a buzz about him even at 5, obviously over your head. But I was like, oh my gosh. It was just, he's brilliant. The pace and the, you know, the kind of confidence and just it was brilliant. It was lovely to watch.
But we honestly didn't. People would say, oh, he's good. But you're like, I mean, come on, he's 5 or 6 or he's 10.
She so wasn't doing it. I was more than she was.
None of that. Auntie Kat there was very happy.
And then, listen, to make it as a footballer, I know with a son who plays football as well. Lee's son used to play football as well, right? That there's a lot of stuff that the parents have to do, right? The kids, obviously, lots and lots of dedication, but I know that you basically become a weekend, well, not just weekends, because I know if you're at Arsenal, what's that? 3-4 times a week during training, where you got to get him to Walthamstow at first, right? And then you got weekends, right? So you basically become an Uber driver for your kids, right? I mean, so you're traveling all around with them. You've always got to get them to training and all stuff like that. I mean, I don't know what you was doing for work and that. Was that a lot of pressure for you?
Look, trust me, it's challenging. It's challenging, and over the years, I've had to, you know, change direction and work, pare it down. Luckily, I've had really, you know, great employers. There's a bit of flexibility. I'd like work from home on one day, but ultimately, to facilitate the journey, there's had to be some rejuggling of life, right? And I've been able to do that, and not everyone does, and that's, you know, we'll talk about that, but it does, your situation will really impact how you can facilitate this journey as a parent, and it's not easy. It's not easy. You know? It's
not easy, Kat, right? You guys, you started this app, right? I know your son plays football as well, right? And you both met through football, but there is, and again, I know as being a parent of a kid who plays football literally every day, that it does impact you a lot. There are a lot of pressures on the parent, lots of pressures on the you know, we forget young kids with lots of pressures. And some parents, you got different types of parents. You got parents that, like, they're almost trying to live out their failures of football through their kids.
They're in the pitch. They're on the pitch.
I'm only joking, but there are. I see. I'll be at games sometimes, and some of the parents are a nightmare, right? But it's only because a lot of times they're trying their hardest because they want their kid to make it so bad So sometimes they don't even realise the pressures that they're putting on the kids. Then there's the pressures of rejection. There's the pressures of injuries. Is this why you guys came up with the idea for this app?
Well, there's sort of quite a few reasons why we saw that. So I work with young people a lot, and you can see there's kind of a mental health crisis, right? But there's a lot of pressure on young people, and there's this idea that if you're not there, then you're not made it. Do you know what I mean? And so just playing a game now and having fun, there's something there with that as well, and just keeping young people in sport, I think, is so important. And it doesn't matter if you're not playing in the Premier League. Football is a great game for young people, right? And then there's also for the parents, like it's sort of set up for us now to get quite entangled in it, because like you say, we have to be the Uber driver. We're on the sidelines, we're watching it. And I see so many parents, and I originally, right at the beginning with my oldest son, you're putting pressure on them, and you don't realise you are, but you're adding to it. You're adding to them not enjoying it as much as they could be, I feel like. And so, what I saw and what I learned along the journey, it's like actually, it's massive for families. This impacts a whole family. And even at grassroots, you're still at the training several nights a week. I've got a 10-year-old, I have to be there. On the weekends, I have to bring my youngest with us to a lot of that as well. And so it is a massive impact on families, on parents, and then you get into the elite, and that's a whole nother kind of world to navigate.
Do you think like it's because it's amazing stories, or what you hear and all that? Like you all start off just to enjoy football, and then all of a sudden it's like you can go this takes you somewhere else. It's not quite going to go that way as well. So you have all these different emotions and all these different stages, and like what you're doing is you can help parents
along each stage. It's quite complex. You're right. When you go to grassroots and you get scouted and you think, okay, I want to go into academy, and you don't actually know what you don't know. So all sorts of things you don't know the questions to ask about. What does it mean to be in academy? You may have never met anyone that's been in an academy. So we want to kind of on our app set people up for the success of the journey of enjoying it. What before you get there, what does it mean, right? So on our app, again, #1 fan club, there are stories of parents who have supported their kids all the way through. We've got, Myles Smith-Rowe's dad on there.
You love it.
We've got one of the Lionesses' mums, and it's for boys and girls as well, so that's important. But it's about, the different phases that you might have to go through and learning from other people's perspectives and experiences, and, take what you will, what you want, what's useful, what, leave what's not.
That's called Behind the Boots. So for us just to get the story, and we did Iwobi's dad, who you met, Rob.
Lovely man.
Nice, it's brilliant. It was just a brilliant story. You have to check it out, because I think I was telling you the story the other day. But just hearing the story from a family, because it's massive. If you've got a child who's playing at that kind of level, it becomes your life as well. It has to, in some ways, it just becomes such a big part of your life. And we're people, this is our lives, but it's fascinating.
And by the way, everyone, you have to check it out, as well as their app. They do these brilliant podcasts, which I was on one last week, right? They grew you. No, that is brilliant. It's brilliant podcast where basically what they do is they ask you, they're asking from the parents' perspective. So I'd love to see that Iwobi one and Emil Smith-Rowe's dad's one, and that would give a great insight into what it takes. But so on the app, what sort of things are you helping people with? What are the key things? A range of things. So we've obviously got well-being, because we talk about getting entangled, we talk about being anxious and full of anxiety and fear, because that's what the industry
for you or your child.
So,
either one of you can get quite off track on this journey quite easily. It's there's a lot of highs and lows, isn't there, to navigate. So
we're sort of helping parents through that. We're going to be running wellbeing sessions and dropping, so people can talk about what it is that's making them feel in that way. We do a lot of stuff on business as well, the business of football. Again, before you want to sign to an agent, or what does that mean? What sort of service can you expect? What questions do you ask? Right?
going on to that, have you had that then, like where agents will ring you up now and like more than one agent saying, right, we want to take your boy on or take Myles on? So so that's a difficult decision.
Yeah, it's massive, and it. I mean, we're kind of past that point for now because obviously Myles does have a contract already. But
do Arsenal help with that, or is that one thing that's on your own?
And I understand as well because there is there's a conflict of interest. So you are left as a family to work that out, by yourself.
So that's a tough thing in itself.
It's a massive, and and obviously agents are an integral part of football, and they're an important part of football as well, despite what people might think. But you've got to find the right one. And you don't know what you don't know. You don't, and they're salespeople. They're selling their services, right? So you've got to be able to stand your ground and know what you want and ask the right questions. And our platform helps parents navigate.
You've got to be strong in that.
You've got to be strong.
I've heard so many stories of parents being offered cars, parents being offered houses, this, that, to sign with particular agents and also, all kind of things like that.
Absolutely, but also, Robbie, on the other side, we want to sort of help parents also understand, when you're asking for things like that as well, because it works both ways. You get agents offering things, but you'll get parents asking for stuff. Yeah. And those sorts of relationships won't end well. So we want to open people's eyes, bring an awareness to, if you're asking for something, there's going to be a trade-off somewhere. So, think about these things before you engage.
Well, there's regulations as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of regulations parents just don't know. Don't have any clue about. And they're also all changing with the agents,
Yeah, new agent regs, which, everyone's talking about in the industry, FIFA changing regulations, but no one is telling their parents what's in those regulations.
Oh, right. So you help parents with things like that, absolutely, which are very important,
I think you should...
oh, no.
We'll take you off of it. She's just done her exam in it so that she can help, she's actually done the exam and...
I did pass.
Well done, congratulations. You know what? It was congratulations, right?
Thank you very much.
You know what? Somebody was when I was at Wembley yesterday. Somebody's telling me that exam's very hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of study. It's like 700 pages in that manual.
She had 2 files like that. I was like, well, I'm not doing that.
I was a bit of a nightmare in that time. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
So you could be an agent now as well.
I am officially a FIFA licensed agent. I don't have the desire to be an agent, but I do, our passion is about helping parents.
That's fantastic that, your boy's not made it, but nearly made it, but you still want to help others as well, like, you know what I mean? Because you could actually just say, well, that's it, we're going down this channel now, but you're not, which is fantastic, really.
Thank you. And I think that, we were talking to a guy from Man United the other day about that, and we was like, I think if I set this up with Kat when things hadn't gone well, it'd be all too easy for people to say,
exactly
she's done it out because she's bitter.
Exactly that.
But actually, no, and our purpose is always about helping people. We love, and that's why we're a really good match. But, we recognise that despite the journey that I've had, which has been a really wonderful and positive one, to be fair, I have seen, not necessarily at Arsenal, but other places where it hasn't gone well. And, we've done some research ourselves, talking to parents about their journey. And it's different. Everyone has their own unique experience and there's no manual. So it's good to feel that, we're doing this from a place of genuine passion for helping.
Kat, what's the journey of your son then? Because obviously they were playing together, like, yeah?
Well, I've got 2 sons that play, and they're, my older one, it was tough for him because all his friends started going off to academies and he just didn't quite get there. And, I saw him dip in confidence and, I got entangled in it. Like, oh, how can I, what can I do? And, you just get a bit involved, and stepping out of that, now with my other son, I'm just all about good vibes, happy, enjoy it. I don't get involved. I don't tell him anything. It's just about enjoying it. But I feel like I've just seen it so much, and it is an industry, grassroots and that kind of semi-pro route is an industry as well, for parents spending a lot of money, people that I know that don't have money, spending a lot of money on extra trainings and big tournaments and getting in front. What do they call them, these days where you've got like all the scouts are coming down, so there's a whole industry now as well.
When you think about it like that,
and the feelings are the same. I always say it, if you're on the bench for your local club or you're on the bench for Arsenal, you're on the bench, you're not playing, or you're injured, or the feelings are the same. And as a parent, you want to support them to enjoy their hobby.
Yeah, it's a great point, because like, I don't know if you've experienced that, Robbie, with my son. Like there was we was in a club where kids were getting scattered, but then there was some parents who got the financial backing, say for instance, would be taking their kids to private sessions to try and make them better and all that. And you're thinking, really, is that really what you want? So instead of training twice a week, they're training 4 times a week. And you're right. Parents can get focused just down one, and are they doing the best thing for their kid, or are they doing the best thing for them, whatever like
and
that.
Again, at that level, there's no one in clubs that's going to be looking at safeguarding or nutrition or, growth and injury. We were talking about this, there's, in the big clubs, you'll get people keeping an eye on these kids in terms of growth. But if your kid's training every day and they're going through puberty and, they can get injured really easily, and we haven't got a clue in grassroots really, like any of that stuff. So that's, again, part of the platform is bringing in some of this sort of cutting edge expertise and, the experts working in the top clubs to talk to all parents. Because, if your kid's still training 4 or 5 times a week at grassroots, right? So it's so good to just think, we had the nutritionist, didn't we, from Arsenal? She's amazing. But I was like, what do they give them at McDonald's, at Arsenal? Like, what would you be recommending? Because as you know, at a football, you're going to be stopping and getting food from here, or the fast food, or in terms of strength. When do they start the gym? You've got these kids going through puberty. I didn't know. Like, what? When do they want to go to the gym? So my 10-year-old wants to go to the gym.
And girls football as well, it's a platform for girls. Even less access to information and resources for parents if you're, if you've got a daughter.
So anybody
Absolutely.
can, anybody's welcome to join the app and whatever.
Welcome, and we're growing. We've recently launched, and this is great. And thanks for having us on this, Robbie, because we want to get the word out to as many parents as we can. Grassroots, elite. We want to support everyone and for everyone to support each other. I mean, that's the whole point of it being a community-based app.
Because the other thing is, it can impact on families as well. Like, I mean, like, if because I've seen it where, like the mum is being a little bit more protective and the dad is trying to push, and then arguments start and do you know what I'm saying? So these are all things that you can help. And
absolutely. I mean, we've had on some of our podcasts, we haven't actually aired it because we some of them we had to chop some bits out, but we've had families saying that they've seen divorces and separations because it can be quite toxic, right?
It's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure.
You got to take them, as I said, to a lot of games. You got to, and there's ups and downs. There's so many ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're kids.
Yeah.
And we forget. We forget that they're only even like you look at some of the players at Arsenal sometimes, and we're giving them a bit of stick. They're like 18. Yeah. What are we doing?
Or younger.
You know what I mean?
You think like someone like Cesc Fabregas was playing for the first team at 16. Do you know what I mean? And expecting to do, expected to do a man's job, really. You know what I mean? But that's how it is, isn't it? I suppose that's what you like. I think that's like what you say with Myles. He's like 17 playing the under 19s. In my day, they never used to do that. You might go one up. You weren't really allowed to do that. Now they say, right, you can
21s. So
there is that thing now. Well, we've got to fast track a little bit physically and things like that.
And when you play under 21s, you could come up against like first team players as well, because especially a lot of times when they're coming back from injury and things like that, first team players drop into that, and
absolutely,
it's a lot of pressure.
And I think there's a safeguarding element as well, which Kat mentioned, that we've got social media, which plays a massive part in everyday life now, and I've been witness on Miles's account of people offering tables in nightclubs and watches and
Even at 17?
At 16, at 15, it comes, and if you're as a parent,
do you monitor all that sort of stuff then?
100%.
So when we're like, Instagram and all that is a massive thing now.
Huge.
So when So obviously he wants to open an account or whatever. Did he ask you for that, or is that like something?
To be fair, he was never interested in social media at all. But eventually he was
You sort of get pushed into it,
shy.
didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously has a relationship with Adidas as well. And even though, again, they didn't push any of that, but it came the right time. And he was just shy of 15. So that's, to hold it off that long is actually quite good.
Yeah,
but he's never very pushy. But, the deal was, I'm going to moderate. I've had to block a few, quite a lot. I don't know how long I can keep that up. I don't know how long I can.
What's this one here, Myles?
But listen,
she's just like, no.
Listen, I've had to block a few. But it's important to safeguard, and I think if you're upfront, and Myles has no problem with it at all, and we're very transparent with each other, and and it's very, honestly, it's very, very important. You do not know what goes on.
Yeah,
agents have been approached well before the regulated time, well before.
Yeah, all the time.
And they have their little foot soldiers and other young people to do that. It happens.
Yeah. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And like you said, despite the regulations, it still happens. And there's so many distractions. Yeah. And the minute you start getting distracted and that, your levels drop, and then you're out of the team, and then your dream's over, right? Yeah. And again, so showing people these sort of things and how to deal with it and how to help, is so important, because you can get carried away, with.
Well, we have we have two podcasts. One is Behind the Boots for the parent story, but we also have the Real Sideline Experts, which is obviously real sideline experts. But we've had like Per Mertesacker on there. Who else we've had? We had a few from Arsenal. Got a few contacts in Arsenal, haven't we?
Yeah.
But they're obviously giving advice to not just the elite side, but also, so we had Kenny Brown from West Ham, head of West Ham Academy, but he's saying to over 16, go and play men's football. And again, for parents to understand, how do you help them transition from, keep them in football? Because if they've not made it in the top clubs, how do you keep them in this game that they love so much, right? And getting into men's football. But again, the challenges that come for these 16-year-olds now playing in men's football, it's a whole nother world for them, isn't it?
And we cover a lot on education as well, because of balancing education, through playing football. If you're playing 4 nights a week, grassroots or in elite, your school gets impacted. And
it does.
And before you know it, you've done your GCSEs, and it's not necessarily about grades, it's about effort. But, if you haven't reached, done what you want to do in football, it mentally can be hard to then go back and get that energy again. So we're trying to, the educators we've had on our platform, just to really highlight the importance of doing the best that you can while you're still at school.
And the great thing about it, I'll use myself as an example. I didn't make it, how, I don't know.
Yeah, we know.
You know what I mean? It was like
there was good reasons for that.
But there is life after not being a footballer.
100%.
There's a great life, I lead a great life now, very, very fortunate, very, very lucky. But because I didn't make it, I went down to semi-pro level, and you make great friends. It's still a great life. You still have it's not the end of the world, and you can still have a great life. And with the opportunities now of social media, YouTube or whatever, there is life, not just being a professional footballer.
Yeah, we want to celebrate that, don't we, Kat? Definitely.
And all the transferable skills that young people get, playing at whatever level. There's so much that they learn, the discipline and the, just showing up and doing a job like that, and being in a team.
On time. The timekeeping is very good. That's why you didn't make it as a
You're funny. I was only late today.
And to Kat's point, to be fair, academies also do get a rough, sort of reputation sometimes for how, the way some of them treat, they operate. And it's different in different environments. But there are also some wonderful things about youngsters that are going through the academy system. And, you do hear some great stories about the travel, the teamwork, the discipline, the you know, the environment, being able to experience that also, it's got some, you know, it's good. There's some good things. And a lot of them now are doing other educational things. They have days out that are not related to football. You know, Myles went on a sustainability trip to Scotland when he was in, you know, under 16. So there's some good things too.
It's great. It's great. Yeah. So tell everybody once again, tell them about the app, right? About the podcast. If they want to get, first of all, if there's a parent out there or even like a aspiring footballer who wants more details about the app, where can they find it? And also the podcast.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Well, it's numberonefan.club. And you can download the app free. We've got all the podcasts. We've got loads of the expert content on there. We sort of in a game, out a game, business and regulations. It's all there. Yeah. But plus a community, an amazing, you know, parent community supporting each other.
Yeah. YouTube. It's the podcast, the Behind the Boots is on YouTube as well. So
Spotify.
number one fan.
Apple,
Club,
Google,
Spotify.
We're like watching you, Robbie. We're trying to this is amazing. How do we
Instagram.
do that?
Well, we're going to make sure we'll post on this video. We'll post all the links as well.
Thanks,
so
Robbie.
if people want to click onto the links and find out more information about it, 'cause I think it's incredible what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
And much needed, needed. And I think there'll be a lot of people that'll be really, really interested in this because you know, it's something that is so important in today, you know, where, like you said, because of the sort of social media, Instagram and TikTok, everybody wants to be, or everybody feels or has to make it.
Right.
But you know, it's a
I'd
journey.
love that to have been about when you know, because when you're actually involved in it, you don't realise, you know, like you go on a Saturday morning and like, you know, the car park's full with kids coming out and all that, like with all the aspirations. Let's be honest, with the aspirations to be the next Saka or whatever, you know. It was my dream, you know what I mean, like all those years ago, and it's been for everybody. But there's sometimes a lot, you know, a lot of parents and kids have been lost through all this sort of stuff, and if you can help them and make that great, then it's fantastic.
No, fantastic.
Thanks,
and good luck for both of your sons.
Thanks,
and you know, hopefully your son can be like the new Saka. I've seen him described as all those sort of things. He's really, really doing well. He's very well spoken about at the moment.
Thank you.
And you get to hear it, don't you? As fans, we get to hear that. You know what I mean? Like through years ago, like when, you know, like Kevin was coming through at Arsenal. You'd hear about it before he even got there, and you're hearing about Myles, and you was hearing
a lot about Myles.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, from Ty.
Ty's always picking up Myles, because you know Ty's at all of those games.
I get my little hug from Ty every time I see him.
He knows everything. You know, if one coming through, like when a player comes through, you go, any good? Like, oh yes.
He's watched him all the way through.
I watched him.
I was over in Dubai the other day. So met Sam Greenwood. Used to be at Arsenal. He's now at Leeds now. He's actually in Middlesbrough now on loan. And he's going to love Ty, Robbie, man.
Yeah,
love Ty, because Ty used to go watch him.
Watch all the youth games.
He's very supportive, and you know, it's great to have the support from the fans and everything.
And it's growing, that youth. You know, I don't know if you guys were. You know, we went to the FA Cup final, didn't we, last year? With Arsenal got in. It was rocking the Emirates. Yeah, it was great.
There's a lot of support for the youngsters.
So they need that. We've got link for tickets. No, it's fantastic what you guys are doing. Absolutely fantastic, right?
Thanks.
Luton away, we're after Myles, yeah.
Lee, before Luton away, Sheffield United this weekend, right? Everybody I've spoken to is just like assuming, right? Especially after they got dubbed 8-0 the other day by Newcastle. Everybody's just assuming that's 3 points, right? But this is the Premier League.
Yeah, there's no easy games.
Yeah, and if you don't approach the games with the right attitude, you know, you can be in trouble. So, but this is a game that Arsenal should take 3 points from. You know, very difficult game the following week against Newcastle. So
yeah, we've got to like it's, you know, like it's thick and fast. Isn't it? I was just saying, like, you know, we've got Sheffield United, West Ham, then Newcastle. So we've got some real big games coming up.
But I want to ask you a question.
Don't ask me that.
Sheffield United, who goes in goal?
Thomas Partey.
He's probably injured. So
Yeah, he's probably injured. Listen, I want to back Raya. I want to support him and everything like that, because I think, like, you know, it's a little bit unfair on him at times. You know what I mean? The situation he's been put in, but that's not his fault. But I just don't think he's done enough.
That punch he did.
Oh, God.
The other night.
If that would have gone in.
When he punched
I'll tell you what.
Right, you know what, right?
He must have gone home and done the lottery that night, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I have to say, right, I interviewed Stricto after the game. Right? You know, he's always got some hilarious comments, right? And he said that, he goes, Raya's a good keeper, but he goes, he makes me as nervous. He goes, what do you say? He goes, it's like him giving his phone
to his wife.
He goes, Raya makes him as nervous as doing that. And then honestly, it's so funny, right? He does make you nervous, doesn't he? Like,
it does make nervous, but
when he first came in, everybody was saying how he calmed everything down. At the moment,
he's certainly not that. Listen, I'm going to be really honest. Ramsdale made me nervous in those sort of things as well. I'm going to be really honest with that, because it's probably the way that they play. Well, I'm not used to that. You know, I'm used to a goalkeeper doing what a goalkeeper should be doing. Now, at my age, I'm being taught that that's not how to be done. It's how a goalkeeper has to do it. So I am nervous even when Ramsdale's doing it. I just think with the situation is that I think Arsenal fan, it's a little bit harsh on Arsenal. Every Arsenal fan is behind him, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying that now, you know that. There was a sense of relief that didn't go in on Tuesday.
Boy.
But obviously the way it is, the social media, the press and everything there. Like, we was on the Sky Sports interview, we said, mucking about, we said to Gal, nothing about Raya, and she said, that's my first question. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's, everybody's going to be talking about it because it's an issue. It's an issue I think's been created that didn't need to be created. And you know, Paul Merson said it, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think that's a fantastic thing to say. So there's, I think, been put, you know, a little bit of unnecessary pressure put on Raya, if I'll be really honest, like, you know, and but he would have been relieved when he got on that plane on going to Spain, like, you know what I mean? Like,
he did make a great save in that game. I don't know if you saw it, where I think it might have been handball anyway, but
where he
pushed that
on the it was handball, like,
that was a great save.
In a way, you wish it wasn't offside and he had made that save, you know what I mean? But listen, even the punch, if you have a look at it, if he lets that go, they have a tap in. So he had to get something to it, you know what I mean? Now, basically, you know, he's done it. It's just, he's been very, very fault. I think if I was him, if he was doing the lottery, I'd be looking over like that, you know what I mean? What numbers have you got? Because he's been very fault. Every mistake he's made, he's got away with it.
No, but you know what? He's
from a couple, like,
to be fair, when he's made a mistake, he's actually retrieved that mistake.
Some of them he's retrieved. You know, commentary, Chelsea. You know what I mean? If we'd have gone 3-0 down, that game's gone. Then that would have been down on him. But somehow, you know.
No, he retrieved it. He stopped.
Well, I think Palmer didn't control it properly, you know. But you know, sometimes in football, you have to have a little bit of luck. You know, it is fortunate in everything. You know, I just feel like, you know, if Ramsdale comes in now, I think it's the right decision for.
So would you put him back in for Saturday?
I would. I just think, like, I watched Raya's performance on Tuesday. We're riding our luck a little bit, like, with it, like, you know. Now, if Mikel continues to do it and it goes wrong, I can see, like, a big what's name on it, like, you know. So, but listen, if he's not, I urge every Arsenal fan, and that's myself as well, I needed to be reminded of that on Tuesday night, like, you know what I mean. And I think that's great when fans come up to you and say, "Oh, you know what I mean, back the player and all that." Like, so I've been, you know, reminded that I've been warned. I've been reminded that, you know, he is an Arsenal player, and whether I think it's right or whether it's wrong, he's an Arsenal player, like, and you back him. It doesn't matter who comes in as an Arsenal player. Now, I think there's the same sort of energy which people don't realise put on Eddie. You know, every time Eddie comes on, we need an upgrade, we need this and that, like, you know. So we've got to remember that they are Arsenal players, and we need to back them, like, you know. But listen, I don't care what anybody says. Football is also opinions and favourites.
Yeah.
I have my favourites. I'm sorry, but I do. You know what I mean? Like, and when you have a favourite, you are a little bit more to that. And I think that's fair. You know what I mean?
Kat, Raya or Ramsdale's
Well,
Saturday?
I was just thinking about this. Like, I just think because Ramsdale, I don't know. I loved him.
Everybody loves
His
him. Yeah.
energy, like, so for him to just come back this season and be, I think it was shocking. So we've all just been a bit like, what's going on? I do feel like he has always rotated. Like last year, Matt Turner played some of the matches, didn't he? So why would you not?
Europa League though, right?
Yeah,
It's different.
Carabao. But I just feel like surely he's going to play Ramsdale.
That's a great point you make.
Surely.
People hit me with this thing. It's elite football. It's this and it's that. It's still not the way he's been treated. I think's wrong. If I personally, from a personal point of view, if it was my son or whatever, I'll be looking at.
But then when he came in, Leno was in goal.
It's true.
Yeah.
Leno was in
But then
goal.
when he
Leno,
come in-
hold on. Leno was in goal. Leno hadn't done nothing wrong either.
No,
Leno was all right.
Yeah.
I remember when we was buying Ramsdale, I was like, "What? We don't even need a keeper." What? It was the same sort of thing
Same.
when you
But when
think
he
about
come
it.
when he come in, Ramsdale nailed it.
Yeah.
True,
That's the difference.
true.
That's the difference from after. I was a bit harsh on Leno, but then after one or two games, you're thinking it's harsh, but it's the right thing to do. I don't see it being the right thing to do at the moment. Like I don't think he's nailed it. Like Declan Rice has come into Arsenal and he's nailed it. I know it's a different position, but he's nailed it. Like, I'll tell a little story, right? Can I tell a little story before we go? Like, you know, one of my favourite ever players for Arsenal, ever, was Paul Merson. One of the greatest. I love Paul Merson. Like, you know, I'm even blaming him because he was wearing these silly boots one time. Went and bought a pair. They were the worst pair of boots I ever bought. But I loved him, right? When he got released or left at Arsenal, I actually said to my brother, who's a Spurs fan, as you know, like, I ain't going no more. I ain't going no more, like, you know what I mean? Like, bang out of all of what they've done to Paul Merson, like, leaving him out and everything like that. Mark Overmars come in. After 2 games, my brother said, "Oh, you're going, are you?" You know what I mean? Like, you know? But the thing was, it was as much as I hated the fact that he'd gone, Mark Overmars come in and you went, wow, maybe it was the right decision. You know, I haven't seen that with Raya. That's the difference.
Marcy, how are you going to cope with all this, right? How are you going to cope with you're sitting? Your son makes it now. He's in the first team,
And
right?
Saka's been dropped for him.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Or Martinelli.
Sorry, Saka. I love you, Saka.
Right.
Star boy.
And then people, you know, the person sat next to you in the stands moaning. That Skelly kid, man, he's rubbish, man. I'll get him off.
I keep saying I'm going to wear earplugs.
No.
Gosh, yeah, I don't know, you know, honestly.
You might have to. I can see another.
You're going to have that.
It could be another app. You're going to have to bring out a new app on how to cope with.
Or I'll just be in a box. Champagne. I'm in the box.
Listen, you can be. But you can be in a box and you can still hear the chants. That's the thing. You can still hear the chants. And I remember you telling me that story when you were sat next to Granit Xhaka's dad.
Yeah.
That was quite soon after all the stick he got.
I was sitting next to Granit Xhaka's dad when the Crystal Palace incident.
No way.
Yeah.
That was the worst game for me I've ever watched.
I was standing with his, and I swear to you now, like his dad, and I've met Granit, he's a lovely guy and all that. And his dad looked at me and I looked at him, I don't think he should have done that, you know what I mean? Like, but you did, it was a real, I'll tell you what, within 2 minutes of him walking down the tunnel, he was on the phone, he said, I've got to go, and he went.
Yeah.
I've never seen him again.
Honestly,
Like, you know,
to be honest, all jokes aside, it actually does scare me. And I've not grown up going to football matches, and it was only really through Myles that, you know, you'd get the odd ticket every now and again from the club, and you'd go and you'd sit sort of behind the dugout, and that was my first proper experience of fans, and like, you know, the aggression. I'd want to say, sit down. You know, I'd be like, sit down. Stop. They're swearing.
Good luck with the game.
I'd be like, get up. I'd be like, they're swearing. And yeah, it was an eye opener. So I honestly don't know.
So I'll be there with her. Number 2 fan.
we're all like to help you out as well, Robbie, wouldn't we? Like, you have to understand, and I think it's important, and I think they know it as well. Arsenal fan, any fan, fickle. You know what I mean? Like 1 minute you do something great, the next minute, you know, and I think, you know, don't take no notice of us.
You've got to learn. You know, I've learned that doing this. that you've got to realise sometimes that not everybody's going to love what you do. Simple as that. You know what I mean? Like I was literally at these that Wembley University yesterday, and this guy was asking me, how do you take criticism? And I said to him, I go, listen, I go, what I just started to look at first, it would, you know what I mean, it could be quite hurtful. And then after a while, I started looking and say, as long as you're pleasing the majority, you know, so if you're a footballer, you're pleasing the manager or you're pleasing the majority of the fans. There are going to be some who just don't check for you. They just don't. And I said to this kid who I was talking to yesterday, I go, do you know what? I go, I watch a lot of things on TV and it's not everything I like. Doesn't mean it ain't good, right? I'm not a massive fan, say, for instance, of Love Island. That's not my thing, right? But my daughters, they love it. And the people who make Love Island couldn't give a toss about me because they've got loads of people who love that show. So you've just got to learn to, and sometimes you have to block it out as well. Sometimes, you know, maybe if you're a footballer and you know to yourself that criticism is a thing that really affects you, then don't go on Twitter, don't go on Instagram. You know, try to limit those things. I feel that's what, because even I have to do that sometimes.
I think that's a great point you just make there, and I think it can be said with the football as well. And one thing that I've found very, very difficult is like jealousy.
There's a lot of that.
Jealousy.
That's one of the worst things.
Within my family and friends as well, like, you know, that some are pleased for you that well you're doing. Some are a little bit not. You know what I mean? I've had to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, Kevin's been a great advisor of me, because when he was growing up as a professional footballer, Kevin Campbell, he had that jealousy with like people happy that he's making it as a professional, but even in his own family, some, oh, well, why couldn't it be my son or my nephew or whatever, like.
And that's going to be another. That's
something that you ladies would have encountered as well.
It's going to be another part of your. It's going to be another part of your journey as well. You know what I mean? That, like, you know, as he gets, you know what I mean, because you do get that, and you know,
the higher you get,
and you're going to be there thinking to yourself, well, you know what? When I was stood up, pouring down with rain, he's 12. I had to drive him here and there. Where were you? Where were you? Now you're coming and saying this and that, or you come. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You know, I mean, it's always remember. I always use that. I always remember back to like when I started, when people are coming and saying certain things. Oh, you're making a load of money, ain't you? And I'm like, well, bro, when I was financing every last penny in my pocket, you didn't lend me a fiver, did you? So even if I do make money, what the hell's it got to do with you?
I find it,
and that's the mechanism I always have in my head. Right? I'm like, you know,
he's a lot stronger, you know, and I admire him for that. Like, you know, I find it very difficult when people criticise me or whatever. I find it very, very difficult. He you know,
I've learned to live with it, man. I've learned to live with it, because you know, you have to develop a sort of a thick skin, but not all of us can have a thick skin. So you then have to have other little mechanisms. Like, as I said, if you can't handle, I've said this to a lot of people because this social media space is very like that, right? And you can blow up very quick, and then it comes at you fast, right? And I say to people, I said, if you can't handle that grief, that criticism, stay off. Something controversial happens a bit, stay off it for a couple of days.
I can handle all of that.
Don't go reading every comment, because you're gonna.
I can handle all of that. I can handle, you know, I actually find that quite funny when people are slagging me off on social media and all that. What I find very difficult is close people. People that you know, your friends are not as happy as they.
True.
I find that very, very difficult. So
it has to be see you later to them. They're not your friends, are they?
Well, yeah, but it's still hard to. Yeah,
it is hard.
It's hard to accept and hard to. So I find that very, very difficult. So, like, you know, like I've been fortunate. I've been able to talk to someone about that. You know what I mean? But some people haven't been able to do that.
And it's going to be, you know, as your son, you know, goes on his journey, professional footballer, I'm sure, you know, but I can already see the advice you're going to give him, and plus as well, you'll be blocking.
I'll be blocking.
You'll be blocking.
But we've talked to a lot of parents, you know, like Emil's dad, and you know, the people that Troy's dad, Troy Townsend, Andros's dad.
Andros.
Yeah, so we've talked to parents, you know, along that journey and getting, absolutely, and getting, that's the wisdom, you know, even just what you're just saying there. It's like people, sometimes we don't talk about this stuff, but people are just going through it. Yeah. And it's just having those conversations and hearing that wisdom for where you're at. You hear what you need for you, right? So from those conversations, we hope that's
it can be different for everybody. You know, I just come from like hardcore Jamaican parents.
We love it.
It's like, look after boy. You know? All right, good. You know what I mean? But for other people I know, it's different. And but you just have to. Criticism is a football because there's so many different people with so many different opinions. I think he should start. This person thinks he should start.
Well, your whole channel's about that, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really? Like,
and
if all the fans thought the same, it'd be quite boring.
About giving opinions, you know what I mean? So
that's the great thing about football, as we were talking about earlier on. None of us are right.
Yeah.
It's all opinions.
Yeah.
And your opinion is, you know, if I think that Ramsdale should be in place of Raya, and you think Raya should be in place of, it don't matter.
I always say to my son when he's playing football, man, I said the most important person to please is not me, it's the manager.
Yeah.
And he's got his opinion. His opinion counts, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the manager tells you to stick out wide on the wing, which I was moaning about him the other day, and say, why don't you come in more, right? If he's told you that's where he told you to be, you have to be there.
Yeah, of course you do.
You know.
I always have to tell my son, don't listen to all the parents on the side. You know, he's saying stay up there, all the parents are going, get forward.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Stop playing out from the back. I mean, lump it up when the manager's told him to play out from the back.
What kind of sideline dad are you?
Huh?
What kind of sideline?
I'm right in the background. Dad, I don't say nothing when the game's going on. I try not to be, obviously I go to games, loads of people know who I am. I stay far back. I never do know when people say about run line, and I ain't doing none of them things.
Anyway.
I just literally just go to the game. I'm quite incognito. I just stand back and I just quietly watch the game.
Love it.
And obviously we've be speaking with all the other parents and having a laugh and banter with them, but I really don't get involved in, you know, trying to be a tactical. I'll speak to my son on the way home, and even then, I'm an encourager. I'll ask certain things. I'll be like, well, why didn't you do this, or what was up today? Didn't you know what I mean? But I'm really not a dad that's on the case of the. I try to just deal with encouragement, and what I'll try and do with my son sometimes to try and get across to him. He don't listen to me anyway, right? I'll just try and show him, maybe say a video, or well, not a video, but show him, say there's a game going on.
Yeah, just show
and I'll
him
be like, look at Zinchenko's, because he plays as left back. So I'll be like, look at Zinchenko's position there when they were on the attack. When you was playing at the weekend, I felt you was too far out on the touchline. Look where Zinchenko's position is. And I find that when I do things like that, he clocks it and learns it more than if I try to, like I'm trying to give him all the tact. So I'm just like that. I'm just. And I can see you.
What about you, Lee?
He's like, what are you doing? Get back, track back. Oh, that's it. I'm going home. Hey, what you know more? Done with this guy.
Believe it or not, I was the same. Never used to. I can coach and all that. Like, and I used to coach the boys and things like that. But I find it very, very difficult to have a go at him and all things like that, like, you know, and because
your son was really good as well.
Yeah, I'll be really, really honest. My dad, bless him, and all that was very, very harsh on me. You know what I mean? When I was, when I was playing and all that, I remember a true story. And I shouldn't really say it bad on my dad, really, but we'd finished the game. I hadn't played well. And we was all sitting around my nan's for Sunday dinner, like, you know, back in the day, used to be loads of you around there, like, and we're sitting there for Sunday dinner, like.
Love it.
And my dad started in his dinner. He said, I can't sit here and eat with him. And like,
He's still fuming.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because I had a bad game.
Now we know where he got it from.
So he's walked out, like, you know what I mean?
He's still fuming with you from in the dinner.
And that's sort of, you know what I mean? Now, the following week, I might have played well and all that, but like, you know, have an ex potato son. You know, it was sort of like that, do you know what I mean? But I remembered that as a kid, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I tried to please my dad. My dad was like played professionally and all that, like, so I tried to. So when it was my son, I tried not to have that impact.
Yeah.
Because it did affect me. It did, you know what I mean?
Honestly,
like,
that's why your app's so important.
Yeah, so things like that are very, very important because, you know, as a kid, even though I felt pressure of playing a football game because like my dad was a manager and a coach, so I knew for instance, my dad would turn around, we're driving to the game like, he's got to leave out some kid or whatever, make sure you play well today because I've got to tell so-and-so's dad that he ain't playing and all that. So there was a pressure on me all the time, do you know what I mean? Which I didn't realise at the time. Yeah. And you know, and then, you know, my mum's going like, you know, make sure you play well today, otherwise Sunday's not going to be great. So like, the dinner's in the dog if you don't.
Pressure, Lee.
So no pressure. So there was pressure on me to do that. But my dad was all, you know, wanted me like. I look back on my dad like when you know, I've got to say something nice about him now. Like, but when my dad used to follow the Arsenal, he was mad on Arsenal as well. You know what I mean? If Arsenal lost, he was terrible. If they won, I'll get that from him as well. But the day I started playing football, my dad gave up the Arsenal and come and watch me play. And you know, he'd always be listening to on the radio but for him to do it, I look at how much I love watching and going to the Arsenal now. He gave that up to watch me play football.
I was saying to the guys on the podcast the other day that I sometimes enjoy watching my son as much as going to Arsenal. And it's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
People say it's weird, but you know, I enjoy it. But anyway, listen, guys. Once again, tell us about the app, where they can get the app, and hear the podcast.
So it's available in the App Store on Google Play. You can download it from the website www.number1fan.club/join.
Well done.
Robbie's on the podcast coming up soon. And we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and we just would love all the support we can get from everybody.
All right, well, listen, we want to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for your support as well.
I want to wish you the best of luck with it. I think it's an excellent thing that you're doing. Best of luck with Lewis. Let's hope that one day we're here talking about, you know, him playing for the first team. I'm sure we will be when he's backed up by such wonderful parents. So keep up the good work. It's Sheffield United. Just before we go, I want to get a quick prediction from everybody here. Lee?
2-0.
Marcel? 3-0?
Marcel, well done.
I'll go 3-1.
3-1.
We think we're going to concede with Ryan. You're out of order. Bang out of order. Have a bit of confidence.
I'll go 3-1 as well. Because
We had a clean sheet at home. I suppose
exactly, we don't keep clean sheets at home. All right.
There's a way, maybe.
Listen, guys, don't forget to click the link in the description. You want to find out more about that app and the podcast. And also, don't forget to check out all of our great content coming up over this weekend. Previews for the Sheffield United game, box to box. Also, we'll be there on the day, be speaking to fans out after the game, of course. And if you want to join and come on and speak to the guys live, wherever you are around the world and around the UK, you can join on Fan Zone. If you haven't already got our app, go to AFTV Plus, download that, and you can come and press of a button, you're into the virtual green room, and you can come onto the show after the game and have your say. So make sure you do that. Thanks very much for watching the Invincible podcast. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV, and we'll see you next week. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.